I want you to picture this moment. You just got back home from your Disney trip. You just had the most magical time, but now it's back to reality. You just walked through your front door, your suitcase is in the hallway, half unpacked. Your feet, they're throbbing. Your hips, they're starting to ache. And then you start to feel it creep in. It's not just the sadness that the trip is over. It's physical. It's the exhaustion, the stiffness, maybe that little scratch in the back of your throat. Some of us call it the Disney blues, but physiologically, it's kind of a big crash to your entire body's system. Today, we're going to talk about the one thing that almost nobody plans for, and that is post-Disney recovery. We plan our lightning lanes, we plan our dining reservations, we even plan our day-to-day outfits, but nobody teaches you what to do when you get home so you don't spend the next week sick, injured, or miserable. By the end of this episode, I'm going to give you my 3-step protocol to bounce back from your Disney trip based on mistakes that I myself have made in the past. That way you don't have to make them in the future. Let's get into the problem. Why does this even happen? Well, I learned this the hard way just a few weeks ago. Earlier in January, I participated in the Dopey Challenge, which is part of the Run Disney Walt Disney World Marathon weekend. This is where I ran a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and a marathon over the course of 4 consecutive days, which go through the Disney World theme parks. Incredible. But 48.6 miles total. I came home after the marathon on Sunday, and I thought to myself, oh man, I earned this. I showered, I put on some pajamas, and then I went straight to bed. I basically became a statue. You could not budge me for like an hour. At that point, I really did think for a hot second that total rest was the answer. I'm not kidding. I only napped like an hour after that race with the intention of getting up afterwards and going about my day because the race ended, before lunchtime. But once I got up from bed, my knees and my hips refused to bend. I basically had to push with my arms to get out of bed or to get out of a chair. And, well, we have a 2-story home, so stairs. Oof, let's just say that my wife had a very fun time watching me struggle going up and, oh man, going down the stairs. On top of that, a few days later, I heard from a few friends who told me that after they participated in the race that weekend, they ended up getting sick. So here's the science of what's happening. And believe it or not, this applies to you whether or not you just ran a marathon at Disney or you just walked 20,000 steps, 5 days of the week at Disney World. When you're at Disney, your body is running on much higher levels of adrenaline and cortisol compared to when you are at home going about your daily routine. At Disney, you're waking up early, staying up late for the fireworks, walking 20,000 steps a day, eating foods that you don't normally eat on a daily basis, carrying your kids, chasing your kids, overstimulating your brain with like 20 million decisions. It's a good type of stress, also known as eustress, but it's still a sort of stressor on the body. Believe it or not, that adrenaline and cortisol during your trip actually temporarily boosts your immunity, which explains why many times you don't get sick during your trip. But when you do get home, those stress hormones plummet. Some people call it the letdown effect. When that cortisol and that adrenaline drops rapidly, your immune system, which was previously boosted by those same hormones, also ends up crashing, which then leaves a window open for viruses to take hold in your own system. So that's usually why you end up getting sick after the trip and not during it. The problem isn't that you went to Disney and spent a bunch of time with people that were like shoulder to shoulder watching the fireworks. No. The problem is that you treated your recovery like a light switch instead of a dimmer switch. Now, before we get to the fix, let's talk about a few roadblocks. Why do we tend to mess this up? Usually there's one of two mental traps that are involved. That first mental trap is the I need to catch up mentality. You get home, reality hits, but real life didn't stop when you were hanging out with Mickey over at Magic Kingdom. You still have emails to answer. You still have laundry to do. You still have work to get back to once you get home. That stuff didn't really change. So how do you get back to it and catch up? Well, you tend to sacrifice sleep to catch up on all of that stuff. Now, to be fair, this is very, very valid to feel because, well, I mean, like I said, life doesn't stop while you're on vacation. But trying to catch up in this way by sacrificing your sleep is the fastest way to get sick. Trap number 2 is the diet guilt trap. This is a big one. You get home and you think, oh man, I ate so many Dole Whips and had one too many cocktails and just overindulged on the Mickey Premium ice cream bars. I need to detox. I'm going to eat nothing but salads and completely cut the carbs for like a month. And I mean, to be fair, this mentality makes sense. The guilt of enjoying a few sweet treats completely takes over, so we have to compensate by restricting ourselves at home. But physiologically, this can spell disaster. You just burned thousands of calories walking over at Disney. Your tissues, your muscles, your ligaments, your tendons, your cardiovascular system, they need to recover and repair from all the mileage you just walked. If you restrict food out of guilt, you're actually withholding the building blocks that your body needs to repair itself. Okay, let's fix this. Here is your 3-step protocol to bounce back from your Disney trip. There really are 3 major things that you need to do after you get home from Disney. Step 1, you have to prioritize sleep. This is a non-negotiable. Let's be real. Disney really messes with your circadian rhythm. Early mornings for rope drop, late nights for fireworks. You're probably traveling from a completely different time zone. When you get home, your sleep schedule is messed up. You need to focus on sleep hygiene immediately. The goal here is to repair overworked muscles and gradually normalize your stress hormones, not have a big crash. Here's how you'll do it. The first week after your Disney trip, go to bed 1 hour earlier than usual. Or honestly, any minute counts. So if it's like 15, 20, 30 minutes, man, it's a start. But ideally an hour. Keep your room as dark as you can and at a cool, comfortable temperature. Do not stay up doom scrolling your vacation photos. 5 minutes maximum right before you go to bed. Sleep is your foundation. If you skip this, steps 2 and 3 of your recovery really won't work. Okay, step 2. You need to fuel for your recovery, not treat it as your punishment for eating on vacation. There is no need to diet the second you walk into the door of your house. You need protein to repair the micro tears in your muscles from all that walking. You need carbohydrates to replenish your glycogen stores so you don't feel like a zombie. And you need to hydrate. After a week of walking marathon distances at Disney World and the long flight home, your body really needs to rehydrate. My go-to meal once I get home, honestly, I'm a sucker for cooking really easy foods. So ground beef, vegetable, stir fry it in a wok over some rice. Add some sauce or some different sauces for your preference. It's really easy to customize and it's tasty and nutrient dense. Eating well after Disney is not punishment for what you ate at the park. It's your recovery fuel. Finally, step 3, do some light movement. And as a reminder, that was really my big mistake right after the marathon. Going from 25,000 steps a day back to 5,000 steps a day of your normal daily routine is very jarring for your body. It's almost as jarring as going from 5,000 steps a day to 25,000 steps a day when you're at Disney. Your joints tend to stiffen up. Here's what to do. For the first 3 days at home, you don't have to do like a heavy gym workout, But do not sit on the couch all day. Don't just sit in the office all day either. Go for that 10 or 15-minute walk. Go on a walk during your lunch break. Have a walking meeting. Have a post-dinner walk. Something short, but something to keep you moving. Do some sort of gentle mobility flow, specifically for your hips, ankles, or maybe your back. Depending on which part of your body tends to feel a little bit more sore. But the idea is you want to move your joints through their full range of motion. Doing this helps your body downshift their gears rather than slamming on the brakes to get back to reality. Oh, and pro tip, when you get to the airport for your departing flight, you could start that recovery process, that light movement, right then and there. Spend 5 to 10 minutes walking around on the way to your departure gate instead of sitting for like a half an hour to an hour waiting for your flight. Stand up, do a stretch, walk around. Find ways to do that movement before you even get home. Man, you can even stand up on the flight every hour, make sure you go to the bathroom. Just find those small micro movements and they're going to help you a ton. Now, I get a lot of messages and DMs about this, so I want to tackle a couple of common questions regarding Disney recovery, especially after your Disney trip. So question number one is usually something like, Steven, how long does recovery take? When can I go back to the gym? Well, really it depends on your trip, but generally I like to give myself as many days of recovery as I spent in the parks. So for example, if I was in the parks for 4 days of the week, I would give myself at least a solid 4 days of active recovery, which can mean walking, stretching, some mobility work, before I try to hit some sort of like heavy squat at the gym or a longer run. If you like to keep track of biometrics, listen to your resting heart rate. If your resting heart rate after your trip is 5 to 10 beats per minute above your normal, you likely still need some time to recover before your next hard workout. The second question I typically get are, okay, my feet are swollen by the time I get home. What do I do? Well, to be honest, this is a lot more common than you realize. First, you want to make sure that you're moving before, during, and after your flight. It's usually during the flight where that swelling tends to happen the most. Walk more before you wait at your departure gate. Point your feet up and down. We call them ankle pumps. Do that when you're sitting. Find ways, again, to do that micro movement. That way you don't stiffen up, but also you don't let blood pool in your extremities. Get up every hour to go to the bathroom. Then once you're home after your flight, you can lay on the floor, put your legs up on the wall, let them sit there for about 10 to 15 minutes to help drain that fluid. Here's the bottom line. Most Disney guests plan every detail of their trip, but almost no one teaches you how to recover from it. And if you're sitting there nodding your head thinking, yeah, I always come home feeling broken, don't worry, because you don't need more willpower. You just need a plan. That's exactly what I do with my new one-on-one Disney prep, rehab, and coaching. We don't just fix you when you get home. We build a plan before you go to Disney so your body is strong enough to handle the miles. I want you to finish your trip feeling strong, not destroyed. So far, our first cohort is going really well, and I'm really happy so far. And I'm going to be opening up spots for our second cohort very soon. So if you want your next trip to feel easier, click the link in the show notes to schedule a Disney Prep Discovery call today. All right, let's keep you happily ever active. I'll see you at the next one.